going to be so as hard as?
The answer is hopefully no. There's really two parts of that question. One is, have we laid groundwork for others? And two is NASA or any large institution capable of learning from their own processes. And so I think to the first, we've laid a lot of groundwork. When I talked about the 2.5-year process of dealing with our lawyers, that was to secure general agreement to be able to release open source software under predetermined conditions, but it was applicable to anybody.
So you created the first case, basically.
Yes, yeah. So in a number of ways, hopefully we can ease this transition process for others. Now, as to the second part of the question, will other parts of NASA learn from our example? This is unfortunately something that only time will tell. But a lot of our push has been not only external in trying to build a larger user community and developer community, but also internal to try to educate about how we've done this and how other groups can as well. So.
You mentioned that the meritocracy aspect. What do you mean by that? Is that something that you implement within NASA itself?
I skipped over some of the details of this, but one of the things that set us apart from other groups and potentially made us capable of making this transition a little more easily is that we operate in a somewhat unique development paradigm, certainly within NASA. So we have project management for these individual projects that I'm highlighting here, but at the same time, our development staff operates somewhat autonomously for developing our core software. So there are development leads that we've nominated amongst the developers that handle issues of feature integration and build and release structures. And that all happens independently of, but in coordination with the timelines and releases and milestones and deliveries of each of these individual projects. And so we already had broken a lot of the traditional hierarchy. And that was again part of this cultural shift that we needed to do in order to ease the transition.
Is your software publicly accessible?
Yes.
So what's the general response been like? On the one hand, I can imagine responses like, Chinese will implement and not help software, like government has set up software. And on the other hand, in some cases, NASA is a politically controversial organisation, so some people might think maybe I could do some issue to embarrass NASA. I don't know. Is that looking like it's going to be a problem, or those sorts of things?
So far the response has been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
So we certainly haven't yet seen any of the latter attitude. But nonetheless, I suppose you wouldn't necessarily advertise it. So we're when we had a lot of the internal debates, especially with regard to issues of risk associated with transitioning, we did have a lot of these debates. The concerns were aired, and we decided that the technical benefits outweighed any of the potential dangers that we had. And we're still keeping a close watch on our internal branch of this code. That so I think that there's there's a little bit of groundwork that we like to isolate ourselves, but beyond that, we're looking forward to positive contribution.
So this is a very nice face of NASA. I've seen a lot of face last year at KDD. It was one of the bosses of the data mining who gave the keynote. And after during the discussion I mentioned the heavy use of MATLAB at NASA. So you are simulating all the time, and I mentioned alternative open source possibilities too. And he was extremely skeptical. Basically, he said it's that all the stuff that is around is not serious. But if the stuff around is not serious enough for simulation, NASA could have had a critical mass to make something happen.
Yeah.
So why don't NASA back this effort of making a worldwide simulation platform, whether it is a clone of MATLAB or not, happen?
Well, you know, I guess as a first broad strokes answer to this, it's a different department. So
it's not your boss. Okay?
No, I think such an effort would definitely be worthwhile. You know, one of the major challenges that we have, whether you're talking about MATLAB or you're talking about any other type of simulation framework platform, you know, IDL or a number of other, you know, closed source licensing type applications. You know, there's always going to be issues of mathematical precision and things like that. You know, my general argument is one of the major reasons for pushing an open source alternative is that we have more insight into the, you know, the code that we find critical for doing these simulations. And so I think that ultimately, I'm hopeful that such an argument would win out. Again, it's something that's a culture shift that I'm not sure on that side of the house they're ready to do. You know, one of the things that we learned is that we are a bit more isolated on the development side of the house from the scientists that we work with. When you're talking about direct simulation code, you're working with a lot of people from non-computer science backgrounds, and so making those types of arguments and ultimately transitioning them over is its own set of challenges. So we've got a customer base of our own that we need to place.
One other, just quickly on the sort of management side of things, in terms of persuading them, you touched on it briefly. Can you say a little bit more about the kind of challenges or obstacles that might get put in the way?
You know, so the real challenge for us basically was old versus new. You know, and so one of the things that makes JPL an interesting microcosm might not be generally applicable is that we're a very old institution. What I mean by that is the median age is mid-50s at last check. So you know, most of the engineers that we deal with are very senior in their field, but they're not necessarily exposed to more recent development paradigms and technologies, things like that. So a lot of it is just a long, drawn-out education process. So the second half is just, you know, people who are set in their ways of doing business, and you know, we're lucky in the sense that at JPL and at NASA as a whole, we're not interested in selling products, and so we don't have to deal with that side of the house, which makes for a significant leg up in the general convincing management step. But at the same time, we're also interested in bottom lines and everything else, and so shifting how we did business involved you know, a conscientious argument on our part to management that this wasn't going to inflate budgets and timelines and things like that.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.